Oh, it's on. Yes.
It's on.
Oh, yeah.
Conservation isn't just based around businesses and nonprofits, it's also based around individuals. In this episode, we focus on three. We focus on Brendan Rager, a PA Woods and Forests board member, Drew Keynes, a Clemson graduate student, and Dakota Alborn, an IUP bachelor student, and they explain to us their passion, their interest in conservation, and what they're doing to contribute. So sit back and enjoy what these students and young people have to say about conservation.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, just to start, my name's Drew Keynes. I'm just starting a master's now at Clemson University. That's also where I got my undergraduate or my bachelor's degree in environmental and natural resources. Now starting a master's in biology. And yeah, something that I have emphasized throughout all of my education so far is getting involved in science. So that's been a bit through my coursework, of course. I've had a lot of courses involving different aspects of wildlife biology and conservation biology and different aspects of the field. But I've also been very proactive in all the field work I do. So really, since I was a sophomore in college, I've been involved with different labs, doing all sorts of work with different organisms and different systems. And most of my focus has been on ecology, so kind of the way that organisms interact in their environment, whether it be at the species level or at the community level. I've done a lot of different projects with a lot of different organisms I definitely love to get into in regard to that. But yeah, I mean, ecology is super cool to me. I think it's really my calling, but I do love the way that it kind of feeds into conservation, because something I like to emphasize to people is that obviously conservation is crucial to the biodiversity of our world in the modern day. And conservation research is super significant. People that are passionate about conservation is super significant. But what I love about ecology is it gives us the opportunity to understand the systems that these organisms are living in. And I tell people that you can't conserve without understanding the ecology. So while a lot of my research hasn't been direct conservation efforts as far as doing projects on, say, captive breeding endangered species or reintroducing endangered species or stuff like that, a lot of the stuff that I've done has been focusing on understanding a lot of these organisms, how they interact with their environments, and how they interact with a lot of the threats that we've introduced as humans in the modern day. Yeah, I think that's just something that's so significant to understanding conservation.
So I'm Dakota. I am a student at IUP. I am in the ECEB major, so that's Ecology, Conservation, and Environmental Biology. Something that I'm doing with my life right now is we are studying brown trout within the Loyal-Hanna watershed, and we do that with electrofishing, which we start tomorrow, so that'll be a fun little trip.
My name's Brendan. I graduated from college about just over a year ago now to be a teacher, but I've always had a passion for the outdoors. Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, was kind of my hero growing up. I always wanted to be like him. So when Aaron approached me about the opportunity of joining this group that he was getting together called PA Woods and Forests, and explained to me how it was basically oriented around conserving and educating people about Pennsylvania wildlife specifically, I thought that was a really, really cool opportunity. So I've been trying to get involved when I'm able, and with whatever capacity I'm able to do so. One of the things that I'm hoping to do moving forward is to be writing blog posts specifically regarding my personal experiences with Pennsylvania wildlife.
For part of my thesis, as we've probably talked about in the past, where you're especially passionate about the anurans, the frogs and toad, I am especially passionate about salamanders. That's what all of my master's research is going to involve, is different salamander species. And the way we're structuring my thesis is to look at different threats to salamander diversity in a changing world. So, mostly human-induced threats to salamander diversity. And invasive species are a big part of that, because usually invasive species in modern day have manifested as a result of human activity. One project we're going to be doing is going to be looking how a specific invasive ant, the Asian needle ant, which is one that I've told you about in the past, my research with that ant. We're looking at how that interacts with a species of mole salamander called the marbled salamander, which is a really pretty, really cool species of mole salamander, pretty widely distributed across the East Coast. And it's really cool to hear you say that you have this observational data of these native animals eating these invasives, because even though, like you said, it's probably not going to be the single-handed force that turns the tide on invasion ecology, it's a really interesting thing to see that these native animals are being able to use invasive species as a resource.
I think a lot of the change that needs to happen is within climate change, our biodiversity for sure. With this global warming happening, a lot of the biodiversity and even local areas just kind of decline rapidly, and it's going to keep declining unless change happens, and I want to help fix that.
So like, what are some ways you see yourself in the future working to make those changes?
Honestly, I would like to join as many conservation groups as possible and just kind of be like an outreach for people who want information, or be that person that provides information to people on how they can help.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are some of the things that you've seen with PA Woods and Forests that really got you interested in what we're doing in conservation?
I mean, all the trips that you guys take, you're always looking to find different types of frogs. I mean, you just found, I forget the name of the frog, but you just discovered one that wasn't thought to be in the area, and that's really awesome.
I'm definitely a bird person. I mean, I think all wildlife has its place and deserves attention. We shouldn't just ignore or dismiss any specific group, whether it be mammals, insects, amphibians, reptiles, birds. They all have their place in the ecosystem. Specifically, though, my passion is definitely regarding reptiles and birds. As far as policy is concerned, I do try and stay up to date and pay attention, definitely in political news, to see what Congress, both at the federal and state level, are doing regarding environmental policy and conservation policy. I tend to pay close attention to that for election purposes, and when elections are coming up, I try and make a point of reaching out to the candidates with questions regarding their views on environmental policy. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't, but I like to base my votes based off of, as well as reaching out, I should point out, reaching out to current congressional members, whether they're in the House or the Senate, encouraging them when bills come up for a vote on environmental policy. I definitely like to be involved with that. So I've written several letters to sitting congressional members regarding votes in favor of environmental policy.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's a really good idea to involve the community, because if the community cares, other people are going to start to care. All it takes is one person to start, like, hey, I have this cool frog in my backyard. You should see if it's in your yard. And it just kind of spreads as a movement, and I think that's really great. And I think it's a good way to, spread the word about conservation and how important it actually is.
Conservation is one of the most important things that we should aim to achieve. This week gives all of us a different look on conservation and how it can be accomplished, whether it's from a group of individuals like a nonprofit, or it's the sole mission of a business, or it's the personal vendetta of the individual. All three are crucial, vital, and they're paramount if we're ever going to do something for the environment, and I couldn't think of a better time to do it than starting today. Conservation Week is going to continue, and I hope that it gives you the encouragement you need to realize, regardless on your platform or where you're at in the world, you can also make a difference, just like these three individuals and everybody else. But guys, don't forget to like and subscribe and share for more Conservation Week content. Thank you.